Yesterday, we weaned the calves that were from the first calf heifers that were born in February and March. This year, we've been pretty dry, and it's been some drought conditions, so we probably weaned them just a little earlier than we normally would. This morning, we vaccinated them for a host of viral issues, BVD being the main one, PI3, Haemophilus is another one. We also poured them to help against internal and external parasites. And so they'll go on to feed now, and they'll be in the feedlot for a little bit. They'll start to understand how to eat out of a bunk. And then our program has been to then, once we've gotten them healthy and we know that they're eating and they're doing well, we turn them out onto some farm field residue, and they'll stay there probably until about February of next year out on pasture. So this balling and whatnot that's going on in the background, it'll subside here after 2 or 3 days. The idea with this early weaning that we had to do this year because of the drought conditions is a lot to do with being able to stretch our pasture a little farther. These calves are actually out there eating on some grass right now alongside their mothers. Their mother's condition will start to drop off as there's more demand from these bigger calves on them. So by taking the calves off, you're taking a demand off of those first calf heifers, which this is their first calf, and we're asking them to breed up and to calve again as a 3-year-old. And so there's a lot of demand on that heifer right now. So by pulling these calves off, not only are we helping with our drought conditions, but we're also helping with the condition of that heifer. So as producers, we've felt the desire coming from the consumer that they want to know more about their product. And so as producers, we've taken on the task of keeping better records, keeping track of these animals, contracting with companies like IMI Global to keep track of these animals all the way through the process. And these EID buttons that we put in the ears help us to do that. And they're able to, at anywhere in the process, whether it's with me or after they've left me, they're able to pull this animal up and find out exactly what's been done to it. Through these EID buttons, we can identify the source that the calf came from. We can identify the age of the calf. We can identify whether it's been given an antibiotic, whether it's been given a growth hormone, and any other value-added programs that might be attached to that calf that might be beneficial to the end consumer. Anybody in the system can scan this button and find out how that calf is classified, whether he's verified all natural, NHTC, beef care, GAP4, whatever he is within the system, you can identify it through this button. Now, we use a second form of identification, which is the dangle tag. In the event that they were to lose this EID button, we'd be able to go back to our records and find out what calf that was. So we have 2 forms of ID, and that's pretty important as you travel through the system. Whenever we have to doctor a calf, we record it on a software program that we have, and then that flows back to this identification of that animal. And then, of course, if it was with an antibiotic, then that animal would come out of the verified natural program. But he would still qualify for NHTC so long as he hasn't been treated with any growth hormones or anything like that. So we can identify that, and we can track that all the way through the system. And it's not that giving an antibiotic is a bad thing. If there's a sick calf, we need to doctor it. And we're all about maintaining the health of these calves. So even though it may pull them out of the all-natural program, we are going to treat that calf to keep his health the best we can. The producer really does take on a lot when he enters into some of these programs. I mean, not only is the record keeping a big chore, you're subject to annual audits, and they'll not only audit your practices that you do with your animals, but they'll also audit your facilities. And so it's a good way for us producers to display our diligence in keeping the health up on these animals, keeping our facilities right even, depending on what kind of programs you're entered in. And it's just our guarantee to the consumer that this beef is what we say it is. we can tell you the age and exactly where it's been raised, that these calves originated from Wyoming at Lundgren Land and Cattle.